Welcome to the NCAA Baseball Regionals, presented by Capital One from Blair Field in Long Beach, California. One of the better first-round matchups of day one. The 3-seed UCLA, the 2-seed Texas. A couple of college baseball blue bloods going at it here tonight, alongside former Stanford All-American Kyle Peterson. I'm Clay Matvick, and you might as well call this region the region of doom.
Yeah, it looks to be that way. I mean, the depth is here. UCLA, a club that came on really at the end of the year. San Diego State had to win their conference tournament to get in, but still a club that has won a ton of games this year. And this Texas team, kind of one of those towards the end of the year that people were talking about potentially as a sleeper host. Instead, they come out here as a 2-seed.
Patrick Mathis, the leadoff hitter for Texas, grounds out to the shortstop, Ryan Kreidler, for the first out of the bottom of the first. UCLA had a leadoff hit from Brett Stevens in the top of the first, but they went quietly. The Long Beach regional headlines. You talk about the Dirtbags of Long Beach State, 5th #1 regional seed since '03. That might surprise a lot of people, and it's no surprise that the Longhorns are back in the national tournament.
No, a team that knows their way around this time of year. Same for UCLA. 9 times in 13 years since John Savage has been at Westwood, UCLA has been in the postseason. Matchup of two teams that met 3 times in Austin this year, and Texas swept the Bruins earlier this year.
UCLA feels they are more seasoned now. The 4 freshmen that are in the starting lineup again tonight, more mature this time around, and they like their chances against the Longhorns. This is Zane Gerwitz batting in the 2-hole, the center fielder, their best defensive outfielder, who's dealt with health issues throughout the season, most notably hamstring trouble. Swung out and missed. It's 1-2, and he's still not 100%, but coming off a great Big 12 tournament. He went 6 for 11 in the Big 12 tournament, where the Longhorns finished as runners-up to Oklahoma State.
And Gerwitz, one of those guys for Texas that you can literally put anywhere on the field.
Again, a hit to the shortstop. Kreidler with a nice play. Well, Ryan is being tested early. Shows off his glove and his arm. 2 down.
John Savage really likes this freshman right here, and this is not an easy play. And you can see Kreidler kind of waited back on it. I think he wasn't quite sure exactly what hop he was going to get. Reacted late. Fielded the ball almost behind his body, and then a strong arm and plenty of time to throw Gerwitz out at first base. So 2 outs. Kreidler has a hand in both of them here to start in the first.
These are 2 very good defensive teams. UCLA fielding at a .981 percentage. That's 9th in the country. And Texas, .983, 2nd in the nation. Runs could be at a premium. Not only in this game, but the entire region.
Yeah, I think in this, I mean, you go top to bottom, nobody throws more strikes than Long Beach State does. They have pounded the strike zone all year. Ballpark could play into that a little bit too, but you like pitching and defense, this is the right place to be for the next 3 or 4 days.
Griffin Canning misses down. 2 balls and no strikes to the DH Travis Jones. Canning making his first postseason start for UCLA, the junior. 7-3 on the year. He has piled up a ton of strikeouts this year, KP.
Yeah, it's real stuff. I mean, for Griffin Canning, a kid that's expected to go top half or right in the middle of the first round. Fastballs 91 to 94. He threw the ball very well against Texas earlier this year. They did get him for 2 home runs, but it's fastball and a power curveball. Slider behind it, changeup behind it, but the curveball is real.
That's 3-1. Yeah, he's 0-2 all time against Texas. Pitched into the 7th last year. Was also the loser in that game. He's a semifinalist for the Golden Spikes Award, one of 25 semifinalists. That's up and out. He walked him. So a 2-out walk by the DH Travis Jones, and that brings up Casey Clemens, who's had a terrific senior year.
He has. Casey Clemens, double-digit home runs for this Texas ball club, hitting well above 300, and really has been the most consistent guy offensively in this lineup. He'll flash you some power. He can do it both ways too. Home runs to left field and right field this year. The ball is going to travel today from center field to left field. The wind is going to take it out early in the day here. I mean, wind's only blowing 7-8 miles an hour, but this ballpark's going to play smaller if you hit it to left field than right. And Texas was noticing that in BP. The ball was flying.
Clemens, the older of the two brothers on the team. Cody is not in the lineup tonight. Roger and Debbie Clemens have 4 boys. Names all start with K. Kobe, Corey, Casey, and Cody. Casey went 5 for 10 with a homer and a couple of runs batted in against UCLA in March. And he's hoping he can tear a hole in UCLA pitching here this weekend. Well, they're keeping a close eye on Jones over there. 13 for 17 stealing bases this year.
We saw UCLA take a chance. 2 outs, man on first. Brett Stevens was trying to steal in the top half of this inning. Jones, from the numbers, the best base stealer on this Texas ball club. 13 stolen bases is tops.
Man on 2 outs. And that's outside. Griffin Canning has pretty good numbers against left-handed hitters this year. Talked about it before. He has pretty good numbers, really, regardless of the statistical category. That draft starts June 12th. He's going to hear his name called very early. The set, the pitch, put in play, and it's going to roll foul.
We'll change up there from Canning. And he'll show that to you, too. It's probably his 3rd pitch, but especially against left-handers. And in a hitter's count right here, Casey Clemens looking fastball, got a changeup, swung right over the top. It's first-round stuff. Low 90s fastball. He can move it up in the zone when he needs to and keep it there. You see some 4-seamers above the belt today on purpose, and a power curve that has real depth. I mean, you see some curveballs with a ton of top to bottom, almost loopy break. That's not Canning's curveball. It is hard and it is short, top to bottom break.
They say he's going to be a safe pick.
Yeah.
You know, all the experts that say, you know, Canning, he's a safe pick. Keith Law thinks, you know, he could go 10th overall to the Angels. What do they mean by safe?
Well, you know what you're going to get. I mean, there's some guys. Take AJ Puck last year, for instance. Okay, Puck goes where he does because the upside is massive. 6'7", left-handed, mid-90s fastball. There's some growth that needs to happen for Puck to go on to the major league level and have success. But the upside is higher. For a guy like Canning, he's pretty polished. I mean, he's a true 4-pitch guy. We'll see some sliders today. He matches up against righties and lefties. The fastball has plenty. And if you want a guy that's going to move through an organization pretty quick, this is Exhibit A right here.
1-2 to Clemens. And we'll see how it goes for Canning tonight. But again, John Savage, who's about as good of a pitching coach as there is in the country, says the thing about Canning is he doesn't lose velocity as the game wears on.
Said he's really been able to hold it all the way through. You see 91 to 94 in the first. You look up in the 7th. Canning's still in the ball game, and the velo's still in the same spot.
Jones away from first, struck him out. So Clemens chases it up, and Canning gets his first strikeout. Jones stranded at first. And we have played 1 here in Long Beach. The 3 seed and the 2 seed scoreless going to the 2nd.
Welcome.
No score as we go to the 2nd inning here in Long Beach. 2 great programs. Texas making its 58th national tournament appearance. That's most all time. UCLA in its 21st NCAA tournament. 9th under John Savage. And David Pierce has Texas back in the national tournament after a 1-year absence. A 12-game improvement over last year for Texas, and they were really on the cusp again of hosting a regional. Just missed.
Yeah, they were close. It was kind of the start that hurt Texas, and the Big 12 from an RPI standpoint had the top league RPI in the entire country. Texas wins a few more games in that league, and I think you would have seen Texas hosting.
Kyle Cuellar, Michael Tolia, and Chase Strumpf, 4, 5, and 6 for UCLA.
Just real quick, out in Chapel Hill right now, J.B. Bukauskas out in the 4th inning. Davidson in the tournament for the first time ever leads 5-0 early.
Cuellar to center. That's where Zane Gerwitz is playing tonight. Texas very happy to have him back One down. And North Carolina, you know, they were #2 in the country, the lion's share of the year behind Oregon State. Both of those programs missed the national tournament last year, but certainly coming in to the tournament, Oregon State, North Carolina favorites to win it all.
Absolutely.
And that's a shocker.
Still early, obviously, and some time for North Carolina out there, but a good quick start for Davidson against J.B. Bukauskas, who is a lock first rounder this year.
Here's Michael Tolia. Ground ball to the first baseman, Clemens. 2 down. Talked about the top 2 national seeds, and Oregon State came into the tournament 49-4, fewest losses for a team entering the national tournament since Texas back in 1982. North Carolina, it's been a couple of down years, but now they're back.
Yeah, and back with an absolute vengeance. Oregon State, though, has just been the most consistent team in the country. The only team to beat North Carolina this year in a 3-game series, this Long Beach State team that we'll see later on tonight. They beat them early in Chapel Hill, took 2 out of 3. Besides that, Carolina won every series. Oregon State did win every series the whole year. They lost 4 ball games. UCLA is the team that beat them once.
Yeah, that's a win when you look at UCLA's body of work that helped push them over the edge on selection day, because it was a little ticklish there for the Bruins. They were considered, you know, the second to last team selected for the field of 64.
Which is surprising, especially when you see him roll a guy like Canning out there to start a regional. I mean, you've got a legit first-round guy going out day 1, and Nolan Kingham's trying to say, hey, man, I'm doing all right, too. The big right-handers faced the minimum through the first 2 innings. Leadoff single in the first, a race trying to steal second. Kingham has been perfect besides that.
Baseball Regionals is presented by the Capital One Venture Card. Earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day. What's in your wallet? And in part by Pepsi.
Another absolutely horrible weather day in Southern California. We go to the bottom of the second. Kyle Peterson, Clay Matvick here with you. Opening game of this regional in Long Beach. There's Roger Clemens here to watch his boys play. Star for the Longhorns back in the early 80s before going on to his Hall of Fame Major League career. Austin Todd, Brett Boswell, and Ryan Reynolds, 5, 6, and 7 here for Texas in the second inning. Ground ball hit fairly sharply to the second baseman Strumpf, who ranges to his left. 1 down. Well, the ESPN networks are bringing you every game on the road to Omaha, starting with our regional coverage across the networks. Whip around coverage also available through ESPN3 and the Bases Loaded channel. A big hit again this year with Matt and Mike locking it down in the studio. All the games available on the ESPN app.
So do yourself a favor now. Go online, pull your phone out, get Bases Loaded rolling, and keep us on TV, because Runes and Schick are probably getting a little bit punchy right now. They've been in the studio for, what do we got here, about 6 hours already?
Yeah, it could be a long day.
It's about when they start to get a little bit loose. It'll make for good double barrel action.
Here's Boswell coming off an 8 for 19 at the Big 12 tournament. That's going to roll foul. He was also on base with 4 walks in that tournament. Every time you looked over to first, he was there, or at second base. This guy's a second baseman who has a very pretty swing at the plate.
You know, it's interesting when you talk to others about this Texas offense. Boswell's name is one that comes up either first or second, just from an upside standpoint. He's a junior, draft eligible, obviously, this year, and the numbers might not jump out yet. 269 with 5 home runs over the course of the year, but there's a lot of people really high on this guy moving forward.
It's a breaking pitch that missed outside. 1-2. Boswell 269, 5 homers, 29 driven in. to center. Daniel Amaral, he covers a lot of ground out there. 2 down. David Pierce has Texas back in the national tournament. A 12-game improvement over a year ago. 17th consecutive regional as a coach. 6th straight as a head coach. And it's with 3 different teams. Very impressive what David Pierce has done in his young head coaching career.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from Sam Houston State to Tulane and here to Texas, he if it's the postseason, David Pierce is in it. And obviously well before that, part of Wayne Graham's staff at Rice, won a national title there.
Seemed like a very good choice for Texas. Needed someone to replace the longtime coach Augie Garrido. And here they are. You know, you talk to a lot of people and they pick Texas to come out of this region.
They got a chance. I mean, you look at the kind of the percentage chances. Boyd Nation does a cool job of this on Boyd's World that shows you just by the numbers what percentage chance everybody has. It's more spread out in this regional than it is in any other regional across the country. And it's the depth of especially the 3 teams, but how good the 4 seed potentially is too. Texas is getting a lot of run, and rightfully so. Get 2 aces to start an offense that can explode.
2-1. And now 2-2 to Ryan Reynolds, switch hitting third baseman. Talked about the Clemens boys, sons of the Rocket. Well, this is a son of a former Longhorn great and retired major leaguer too. Shane Reynolds, a right-hander who won 114 games in the big leagues during his career. Breaking ball, strike 3. So for the 2nd straight inning, Griffin can run to the dugout after a strikeout.
We've seen him use a curveball a ton already today. When he went 0-2 earlier against Boswell, tried to throw it on the outside part of the plate, and this one just stands Reynolds straight up. 2 strikeouts for Griffin Canning so far. An impressive 2 innings on both sides.
Number 1 seed North Carolina in a bit of trouble at home against Davidson. This is Cam Johnson with the 2-run single to get Davidson more of a lead. Check this out. 6-0 Davidson over the Heels in the bottom of the 4th. Back to Clay and Kyle.
All right, thank you. Like you said, KP, a lot of time left in that game in Chapel Hill. We'll see what happens. This is going to be a fun regional, a fun weekend here in Long Beach. We're at the home of the Dirtbags, Long Beach State and San Diego State, the 1 versus 4 matchup coming up later tonight on ESPN2. Winner of that game plays the winner of this game. The winner of this regional will play the winner that comes out of Palo Alto. Again, Stanford, the 1 seed there, a top 8 national seed. Jake Hirabayashi leading off for UCLA here in the 3rd. Ryan Kreidler and Daniel Rosica also ready to hit here in the 3rd inning. Now both of these pitchers have been out to good starts here tonight. Here Bayashi, they call him Bosch, solid defender at 3rd base. That's why he's in the line. Hitting under 200. But he smokes this one to center. Right at Gerwitz, however. Hit on the screws, but it's out number 1. UCLA hitless since the very first pitch of the game.
Nolan King is pretty comfortable out there right now. That's 7-7 first pitch strikes for Kingham today. Just filling up the zone. John Savage, one of the best pitching minds in the entire country. You appreciate a little bit more when you're not going head to head with a guy like Kingham. But 449 wins for Savage at UCLA, and one of those national championship just a few years ago against Mississippi State.
Kreidler's up there now. And it's weird for UCLA. 7 games they've played this season against the teams in this regional.
Yeah.
This one is going to twist out of play, foul. 2-0 against Long Beach State, but when it combined 0-5 against Texas and San Diego State this season.
Midweek games against Long Beach and San Diego State. I think you got to look at those a little bit differently. But to get swept in Austin this year, and I understand different ball club when it happened, but still, you know, it's on the minds of everybody when they saw what this draw was.
Yeah, I think UCLA still happy to be placed here. You know, 45 minutes away from their campus. They've got there's a comfortability about playing here, even though it can be a challenge. 2-1 put in play. Backhanded by the third baseman Reynolds.
Well
goes across the diamond. That is good glove play by the Texas third baseman. 2 down.
You know, so Ryan Reynolds this year over at third base, the question wasn't the bat. They really like the upside of Reynolds' bat. The question was defensively, how's he going to do over at third base? And when you talk to David Pierce and this entire Texas staff, they rave about the way that he has grown defensively over at third base. Takes an extra step just to make sure. Probably at times set his feet on this one if he wanted to, but still got enough on the throw to go all the way across the diamond and throw out Kreidler at first.
2 outs. Daniel Rosica swings and plays it into left field, and it's a quick inning for Texas defensively. Kingham on a roll. He has set down 8 in a row. We played 2.5. No score in Long Beach. The Texas Longhorns finished 6th in a loaded Big 12 this year at 11-12. 7 teams made the tournament, most since '09. TCU, a regional host again, and they had 2 players of the year in Scout and Hargrove. Texas hitting here in the third, McCann, Hamilton, and the top of the order, Mathis. And speaking of the Big 12, West Virginia, good first day, showed a lot of power.
Welcome to Wake Forest. Guys line up to go hit there. And how many how many did West Virginia hit today? 5 or 6? 6 home runs in the opener for Randy Mazey's club, and they win their opener. And Oklahoma State just had their hearts ripped out. I mean, they scored 2 in the top of the 9th to take the lead against Missouri State. Jeremy Ironman, 2-run, 2-out walk-off home run for Missouri State to beat the Cowboys.
Ground ball off the bat of McCann with the third baseman Hirabayashi. 1 down. For more coverage of the Division I baseball tournament, interactive brackets you'll find there. Go to ncaa.com. Coverage on the road to Omaha. Said before, 7 teams got in from the Big 12. Oklahoma State crashing the party at the end. That was kind of the theme on the final day of the regular season. Looking into the national tournament, whose bubble was going to pop, and Oklahoma State helped some bubbles pop.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I mean, Oklahoma State and Omaha team last year. Here's the thing about Oklahoma State. They had to beat Oklahoma twice the final week of the season just to get into the Big 12 tournament. They go in as the 8th seed in the Big 12 tournament, roll through, win the tournament. And for a minute, at least, it looked like would win their opener in Fayetteville. But instead, Missouri State gets them. Missouri State will face the winner of Arkansas, Oral Roberts.
This one into short left field, now drifting into foul ground. The shortstop, Ryan Kreidler, kept a beat on it. The all-freshman middle infielder from the Pac-12 makes the catch. 2 down.
Here's your bid stealers now. Dallas Baptist, Iowa. Another dangerous 4 seed down in Houston. Jake Adams, 27 home runs for the Hawkeyes. That's tops in the country. Oklahoma State. Rice. We usually don't talk about Rice as being a team that steals a bid. They absolutely had to win the Conference USA tournament to get in. Sam Houston State, David Pierce's former club in the postseason again, and Xavier, who had OU on the ropes today, but the Sooners scored 7 unanswered to win game 1 against Xavier.
Now back to the top of the order in Patrick Mathis.
That thing is dirty, by the way. I mean, first pitch breaking ball that it just, the one thing, watch Canning over the course of this ball game. There's not a lot of guys at this age that can locate a breaking ball about as well as they do their fastball. And Canning has already shown the ability to do that, throwing it away to left-handers, away to right-handers when he wants to.
Gets Mathis to pop it up left side as well. Kreidler again calling for it. And the catch is made. Eight in a row set down by Griffin Canning. We've played 3, no score. The NCAA Baseball Regionals presented by Capital One. Alongside my good buddy Kyle Peterson, Clay Matvick. We are going to the 4th in what has been a pitcher's duel so far here at legendary Blair Field. Just a couple of miles from the Long Beach State campus. It became the full-time home of the Dirtbags back in 2003. Some great history here. You can see the retired names out there, the former coaches of Long Beach State. Their game with San Diego State is coming up later tonight. I mean, you go back to the 1920s when Connie Mack's Philadelphia A's were holding spring training here. Stevens started the game with a single, but Nolan Kingham has retired 8 straight Bruins since then.
Yeah, this place is kind of my speed right here now. I mean, we're right in the middle of the park. We're, what, maybe a half mile from the ocean? Got a little ocean breeze coming in. And historically, everybody would talk about how big Blair Field was, and it still is. But they've moved the fence in here, and it's one of the reasons why this ballpark has started to play a little bit different. The old concrete wall is still back beyond the fence, and you can see remnants of it across this ballpark. But this is, I mean, this is a ballpark, not a stadium. This is a ballpark, and it just feels right when you walk in.
And a lot of TV and movies have been shot here over the years. We're not that far from Hollywood. Moneyball most recently, one of my recent favorites to come out of Hollywood. Brad Pitt movie. So now it's 3-1. And they've done some nice things to the stadium to upgrade it to Long Beach State under Troy Buckley. They've done something. They put some money in here. They've gotten some help from alumni too to pay for it. There's a strike. Now full count to Stevens.
Troy Tulowitzki, significant donation to put a new hitting facility in down the right field line.
It's fouled back. Jared Weaver, alumni of Long Beach State as well. They paid for a new bullpen with contributions from him. In fact, you can see his name out there. It's the Jared Weaver bullpen. Can't miss it. That's smoke to center. But again, Gerwitz hardly has to move. And 9 straight set down by Kingham.
All right, so you want to know how good this program has been. This program being Long Beach. More guys in the major leagues than any other college in the country, and that's been the case for the last 8 years. Yeah. Currently 12. There's been 16 at one point this year from Long Beach State that have been in the big league. 7 for Texas, 6 for UCLA, 2 for San Diego State. Obviously, Steven Strasburg, one of them, the former Aztec.
And I think I hit on this at the top of the broadcast. That probably surprises the lion's share of the people watching. You know, Long Beach State, for whatever reason, has kind of gone under the radar. How good this program has been.
Yeah, they shouldn't. I mean, to Omaha 4 different times. There's a lot of programs in this country that would gladly say they had been to Omaha 4 different times. But it's been a little bit for Long Beach, and I think that's the one that maybe stands out the most. They haven't been to Omaha in almost 20 years. And been a 1 seed in a regional a fair amount recently.
The 0-2 Daniel Amaral.
Good spot.
Speaking of the majors, Daniel's dad Rich played at UCLA, spent 9 years in the major leagues. And Daniel's brother Bo played at UCLA too. He's now in AAA ball in the Cincinnati Reds organization in Louisville. 1-2 pitch and hit him.
Yeah, they're going to bring him back, and they should bring him back right there. You can see the move of Amaral. You put that Adidas pad on that front elbow, and it gives you a little bit more courage on the Kingham fastball. Watch this ball moving in, and the last movement that Amaral makes right here, just a little bit to stick that elbow out. It's not massive, but it's enough. David Savage, the home plate umpire, does the right thing right here. It's clearly moving into the spot. You know it's not going to hurt because you got that big old Adidas pad sticking out in front of it. But the right callers, I think that's one thing that if you're UCLA, you're going to try to take advantage of it. You want to see if you can get base runners on there for Amaral this year. He's been hit by a pitch 11 times. That's tops on this UCLA team. So he's done this a few times, but now he'll have to go back to work here with a 2-2 count.
It was a very quick conversation between John Savage and David Savage, the home plate umpire. Two balls, two strikes, one out here in the UCLA fourth. Daniel really hitting well the last month, the sophomore from Huntington Beach. Trying to get a UCLA base runner. Strikes out here, 2 down. And a strikeout number 3 for Kingham.
Fastball from Kingham, good location. So just a minute ago, it tried to run the fastball in on the hands of Amaral. This time you can see Michael McCann, the catcher, sitting all the way on the outside part of the plate. Kingham hits his spot. Another strikeout there, and now through 3 2/3, Nolan Kingham has faced just one over the minimum so far. Excuse me, has faced the minimum, but gave up a leadoff single, erased on a caught stealing in the first inning by Brett Stevens. He has been cruising.
Bouchard was a strikeout victim his first time up. Bouchard, a product of Cathedral Catholic in San Diego. Was a shortstop in high school. They've been utilizing him at first base at UCLA. Again, having a really good junior year. And that's going to help his prospects to hear his name called early in the draft. Speaking of the draft, is the #1 pick going to come from the college ranks this year, KP?
Well, it looks like it's a very good chance. I mean, Kyle Wright has kind of moved to the forefront of that discussion right now. Hunter Green, the high schooler, I would assume is still in it. Brendan McKay probably still in it, the two-way star for Louisville. But Wright's last 6 to 8 weeks, he has looked like a legitimate 1-1 guy.
Back up the middle, past the glove of Boswell into center. First hit since the leadoff hit by Stevens in the first for UCLA, a 2-out base runner. And let's get an update from the studio at Matt.
Let's check in on top seed Louisville, up 6-0 against Radford, but with one swing in the bat, Adam Whitaker slices into the lead. The Highlanders down 6-4 after that grand slam, now playing in the 5th.
Pardon me, Pam. Thank you very much. I said Matt, who's working bases loaded. Pam Ward's in studio for us on ESPN2 here tonight. So a 2-out base runner in UCLA. Glad to have Bouchard aboard. It's been tough sledding so far against Nolan Kingham as Kyle Cuellar hits now.
See if UCLA takes another shot trying to steal a base. Over the course of the year, McCann's numbers, and I know he did throw out Stevens earlier in this ball game, but Michael McCann's thrown out just 6 of 26 base runners over the course of the year, and UCLA just trying to push that first run across.
Ground ball to third. Reynolds knocks it down, gathers it up. The throw is in time. Cuellar is out. He was diving into the bag trying to beat the throw, but he's out. And UCLA strands a runner in the 4th.
Good job by Reynolds, the freshman over at third base. Blocks this one, keeps it in front. Don't slide into first base. It's slower every time, but Kingham 4 scoreless for the Horns.
It was all Golden State in game 1. You and I were able to watch that last night and enjoyed it.
Sitting by the water, it's a pretty good place to watch it.
And a lot of Golden State fans even here in Southern California. All right, Texas trying to get something going against Griffin Canning. Zane Gerwitz, Travis Jones, Casey Clemens, 2, 3, and 4 here in the 4th. They don't have a hit yet, just one base runner. That was Jones, who reached on a walk back in the 1st. Gerwitz grounded out to short, his only time up. The 0-2 from Canning. That's up. A lot of scouts in attendance tonight. You know, there are various guys they're here to see, obviously, but I think first and foremost, it's the man on the mound right now.
I think it's the 2 guys on the mound. I mean, Kingham, a guy that doesn't have the helium that Griffin Canning does, but Nolan Kingham, somebody who's going to hear his name called in the first 3 rounds of the draft. Canning will hear it called potentially in the first 15 picks of the draft, and shows you why again right there. Kenny's fastball's been low 90s already. We've talked about that, but it's control of what is a true curveball that has been maybe the most impressive to me right now. Throws it again right there, and for these Texas hitters, and it's not just them, it's been most that have faced Canning this year. Tough to pick it up, tough to lay off of it. That time another strikeout for Zane Gerwitz, the third of the day for Canning.
And now Jones, who's been the only base runner for Texas tonight, that walk in the first inning. And we talked with David Pierce yesterday. He didn't know if Jones would be in the lineup. He is as the DH tonight. He's a leader for this team. 6'4", 220 junior. You know, NCAA pitchers are striking out almost 8 hitters per 9 innings this year. That's on pace to break last year's record for strikeouts in college baseball. It was just over 7 per 9 innings. Yet batting averages are up this year. Home runs are up. It's been an interesting season in that regard.
I think what you're seeing in college baseball is what we've seen more of at the major league level, and that's more college teams okay with the strikeout. The power's starting to come back when the seams went down on the baseball a few years ago, and so because of that, college teams okay with more strikeouts than maybe they were in the past. We're not seeing as many sack bunts. That's a very good thing. I think it's more of a true baseball game right now.
Strumpf throws out Jones, and the Canning train continues to roll. Sunday Night Baseball coming your way 7:30 on ESPN this Sunday night. St. Louis and Chicago. The Cardinals and Cubs. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern. Baseball tonight, Sunday Night Countdown, also streaming live on the ESPN app. You know, the Cardinals and the Cubs, we looked it up. You know, surprisingly, those are 2 of the teams that don't have a former Long Beach State player on it.
There's not too many.
Again, that game coming up next here from Long Beach State and San Diego State. That should be good. A 1 versus 4. 2 down. And Casey Clemens up. He struck out his only time up. There's Casey, and there's his dad with the sunglasses on. He's hardly incognito when he goes anywhere. He kind of stands out.
Yeah, no, it's hard not to notice the rocket. Casey's had a really good season, but it's ended a very good career at Texas. It's gonna be something to watch your son in same uniform that you wore get into the postseason. Little brother Cody not playing today, but we will see Cody, I would think, over the course of this weekend. He's been a mainstay for a lot of this year offensively in this Texas lineup.
Boy, that is stroke to right, deep toward the bullpen, and goodbye home run. Michael Tolia climbed the wall trying to bring it back. He didn't have a chance. And Casey Clemens leaves the yard for the 12th time this year. It's 1-0 Texas.
That's what he can do more than anybody else in this Texas lineup. We're talking about the power of Clemens and the ability to really hit it out from left field to right field all the way around. And facing a guy like Canning, sometimes if you get a mistake, you've got to take advantage of it. It looked like a changeup that leaked over the inside part of the plate. First at bat, Clemens struck out primarily on fastballs. The last one was elevated. He swung right through it. This time gets a changeup, hammers it out to right field, and the horns strike first. First hit of the game is a home run by Casey Clemens.
Ooh. Now that's up and into Austin Todd. He has to lean way back to get out of the way. For Clemens, his 12th of the year. And his 2nd of the season against UCLA pitching. He went 5 for 10 with a homer and 2 runs batted in against UCLA during that series in March. And he gets the first run of the Long Beach Regional here in 2017. And that's hit well toward the gap in right. And Tolia tracks it down for the 3rd out of the 4th. But Texas draws first blood. A solo shot for Casey Clemens to right field. And as soon as it left the bat, KP, we knew it.
You know what? It's traveling better to left. But when you hit it this hard, it really doesn't matter where you hit it. That is a sweet left-handed swing. The first hit of the game's a home run, and the horns strike first. It's 1-0 through 4.
It's 1-0 Texas as we go to the 5th inning. John Savage, the UCLA head coach, joins us from the dugout. Coach, Griffin Canning has looked terrific tonight. Just really the one mistake, and that was last inning to Casey Clemens. What have you seen from your starter?
You know, he's a little uncharacteristic. I think elevated a little bit. I think he's just amped up a little bit. He's made some good pitches, no question. He's been good enough, but he did make that mistake to Casey, a 2-0 change, and Casey elevated it and got it out of here.
So I know you've seen his pitching stat before. Kingham has been good so far for Texas. Offensively, what do you guys need to do against this arm?
We're a little antsy as well. I just think the first 4 innings, it just seemed like we're a little uncharacteristic. I think we're a little amped up, which is okay. It's 1-0 after 4, so it's not like, you know, it's a complete ball game. So we got to settle down, use the middle of the field a little bit. He's pitching to the outer half. He pitched backwards a little bit with that slider, and you know, he's in the zone and he's down. So you got to really, you know, make him bring the ball up a little bit, or else hit the ball really hard up the middle of the field.
All right, good luck with that.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Clay.
John Savage, 13th year as head coach at UCLA, and you know, we were talking to him yesterday about, you know, being so close to home, but they are staying here in town at a hotel. They like that. It's more of a team atmosphere that way, and it keeps them focused as they play here in the regional less than an hour away.
You know, it was interesting talking to John Savage yesterday about this ball club, and when you have 4 freshmen in the starting lineup like he does today, and beyond that 3 more sophomores, so you got 7 guys you know are going to come back next year. I would assume they're going to lose Bouchard to the draft and Stevens, a senior, hitting leadoff. But just to get them in this environment, we'll see how far UCLA can go. But just to get these guys in this environment, because UCLA, from an offensive standpoint, is going to be really dangerous next year.
This is Tolia to lead it off for UCLA. He puts a charge into it, but it's tracked down by Mathis from right field. And that's an out. Yeah, just getting here was so big for UCLA.
And, you know, he said it when we were talking to him. He said, I was surprised when I looked up and saw we were one of the last 4 teams into this tournament. Now, one of the reasons, you got to realize there's no postseason tournament in the Pac-12. So UCLA won 30 ball games, but there's no tournament, so you can't pad your resume from a win standpoint when you get to that point of the year. But they did beat Oregon State. They took 2 out of 3 from Stanford on the road this year, and they were 19-11 in the pack. You go 19-11 in the pack, you should not be one of the last 4 teams into the tournament.
Well, there was a time when 19 wins made you a lead pipe cinch. For whatever reason, in recent years,
lead pipe cinch, you were a national seed.
Yeah, for whatever reason, in recent years, that has not been the case when it comes to the West. Boy, this is hit well to left too. Chase Strumpf rounds first. He'll stay there. 3rd hit for UCLA. They've got a 1-out base runner here in the 5th inning. The last 7 games for UCLA, they really picked it up. Finished with a flurry to help their resume, and they get in.
Yeah, I mean, they swept Utah, and then they go to Oregon, take 2 out of 3. So 5 of the last 6 in the pack to get to that 19 win mark for UCLA. And again, when you have a team that starts 4 freshmen and 3 sophomores in the offensive lineup, it is understandable that you're going to scuffle a little bit at the beginning of the year and theoretically get better towards the end. And that's exactly what UCLA has done.
Jake Hirabayashi is up there now, the 3rd baseman for UCLA. Lined out to center his first time up. He's 0 for 1. This is the first regional away from Jackie Robinson Stadium for UCLA since 2008. They went 11-13 away from home this season. Said it before, you know, they know it's going to be tough coming out of here as the regional champs, but just the familiarity of the ballpark, you know, the closeness to home, it's an advantage this time of year.
It absolutely is. I mean, there's a lot of 3 seeds that get shipped across. There's a lot of 2 seeds that get shipped across the country. I mean, look at Virginia. Virginia's a team that thought they were potentially hosting. They end up a 2 seed down at TCU. For UCLA, it's a short bus ride, just not too far away from campus. Foul ball down the left field line off the bat of Hirabayashi. Now a 1-2 count. You're probably not going to do it now, but you wonder if, as this ball game goes on, when UCLA gets runners, if they don't try to put a little bit more in motion.
Outside. 2-2. Strumpf with a couple of stolen bases on the year. UCLA a little more physical this year than they've been in the past.
They led the pack in home runs. Yes, it is a physical, and again, when you talk about 7 of the 9 in this offensive lineup coming back next year. Now, Bouchard led them in home runs with 9, but Tolia, the freshman, 8. Strumpf, 7. There's some power coming back, and it's another strikeout from Kingham. The breaking ball right there that Hirabayashi didn't necessarily like the call, but the 4th strikeout of the day from Nolan Kingham. Heard John Savage talking just a minute ago about this breaking ball from Kingham, and he's gone to that pretty consistently today. Fastball location has been good, but the ability to spot this one up, McCann does a good job on going out and getting it.
So 2 outs for Kreidler. To center. We've said it before, this park plays big. There have been some balls hit pretty well out to center, but no damage done. Strumpf is stranded. We played 4.5. It's 1-0 Texas. We're going to talk with the Horns' new head coach, David Pierce, next. Texas only has 1 hit against Griffin Canning, but it's the difference in the ballgame right now as David Pierce joins us from the Longhorns dugout. And Coach, you beat Griffin Canning earlier in the year, so you had a pretty good scouting report on him. What was the approach coming into this game against him?
Well, first of all, he's the best, one of the best in the country, and he can 4-pitch mix it. So you just really got to be ready, think gap to gap, and stay in the middle of the field. If he makes a mistake, be ready for it.
David, I know you guys have essentially had 2 aces over the course of the year, but Nolan Kingham has been in absolute control this year. What have you seen from your side?
Well, I think he's just used the fastball on both sides of the plate so far. He's given up 3 hits and 2 of them on breaking balls that were kind of left up. So I like what he's doing. I like his competitive juices right now.
How you liking the weather here in Southern California?
72 and sunny.
You could be in Houston.
No, I know.
All right, Coach, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
You know, he was telling us yesterday he thought that's where the Longhorns were headed. And it turns out they're here. And certainly from a weather standpoint, very happy about it. Texas pretty hot, and weather's unpredictable. We've seen that in the regionals in that state today. He has really improved this Texas Longhorns team in quick fashion this year, specifically in the field. The defense has been wonderful this year for the Longhorns. Boswell, a ball and a strike. Boswell, Reynolds, and McCann for Texas, leading 1-0 after the solo home run from Casey Clemens last inning. Ground ball, first base. Bouchard flips to the pitcher covering. Canning on the bag, 1 down. It was a .963 fielding percentage last year. Not very good. .983 this year. That is good for second in the country.
And, you know, for all those numbers, obviously significantly better this year. But the one thing, when you talk to this coaching staff, and we haven't talked about this kid very much today, David Hamilton's one of the main reasons why. You see, as good as David Pierce has been in his first year, all of those times, first year, took each of those teams, Sam Houston, Tulane, and Texas, to the postseason. But the freshman Hamilton, who they plugged in at shortstop, has changed this team defensively on the infield. He is smooth. We haven't seen much work out of him so far, but one of the most impressive freshman defenders in the country.
Texas has turned 64 double plays this year. That's third most. Just an amazing number. As Ryan Reynolds hits. You know, the team batting average for Texas, .256 coming into the game. That was last in the Big 12. It's one of the numbers they certainly want to improve on. As that one nearly takes the hat off of Canning. That ball got up a little bit, and Reynolds spanks it into center field. Just the second hit for the Longhorns. It's a 1-out base runner here in the 5th.
Yeah, we haven't seen a location of a fastball too often in this spot from Griffin Canning today. Fastball elevated in a 1-1 count. Freshman Ryan Reynolds just drops the head on it, smokes it right back up the middle for the second hit of the day for the Longhorns.
And now Michael McCann, who's 0 for 1. And this is where, you know, the offensive approach, you'll look at Texas, and that's another thing that's changed now under David Pierce. You know, Augie Garrido was about playing small ball at times, advancing runners with the sacrifice bunt. It's totally changed in year number 1 for Pierce.
Yeah, I mean, they'll still do it, but not nearly to the point that they would have before. And then talking to David Pierce yesterday, he said, you know what, maybe later in the ball game you'll see it a little bit more. 37 sack bunts this year for Texas. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but if I were to venture a guess, I would bet that's about half of what they would have had last year in the same number of games.
Reynolds away from first. McCann takes outside. I'm being told they've averaged 83 sack bunts the last 3 years, so more than half less.
And the Augie Garrido approach, and it was this way with Augie for years, is we want the lead first. We want the lead first because we think the other side plays different if they're behind, and that's why he did it so often early in the ball game, to try to get that first run and force the other side to play maybe a little bit less. How about that?
What a catch by Canning, and then he doubles up Reynolds. That's fielding your position.
Well, 2 balls hit on the screws back to back. One is a single to center field off the bat of the freshman Reynolds, and McCann hits it almost to the exact same spot. The difference, this one's glove side. How about the reaction of Griffin Canning right here? Snags it out of the air, plenty of time to turn the double play, and there's nothing that Reynolds can do on first base. 1-0, 5 complete in Long Beach.
What?
Long Beach in the NCAA Baseball Regionals presented by Capital One. Alongside former first-round pick Kyle Peterson, I'm Clay Matvick. Here's the bracket in Long Beach. It'll be the Dirtbags of Long Beach State and the Aztecs of San Diego State coming up approximately 11 Eastern on ESPN2. Winner there plays the winner of this one that we're watching now, Texas and UCLA. You know, the 1 seed so far held serve today. I guess the closest call came in Hattiesburg. KP. Southern Miss was trailing for the longest time against Illinois of Chicago. The Flames gave Southern Miss a rub, but it was the Golden Eagles winning 8-7 in that one.
Grand slam for Illinois Chicago early in that ball game, and it took Southern Miss a while to get that offense going. Texas Tech with a little scare. The Blue Hens got it to 3-2 late in that one, and the Red Raiders held on late. The 1 seed that's in real trouble, though, is in Chapel Hill right now. Davidson was up 8-0 on North Carolina. G.B. Bukowskis, likely first rounder, did not make it out of the 4th.
Daniel Rosica, Brett Stevens, and Daniel Amaral, 9-1-2 for UCLA, down a run. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if the 4 seed pulls an upset in our second game here in Long Beach, San Diego State. That one's bunted foul, nearly hit Rosica and rode right in on it.
That ends up just a defensive play right here by Rosica, because there's nothing you can do when he squares around. Watch this. When he squares all the way around, you can't get out of the way at that point. You're totally committed. If that ball doesn't hit the bat, it hits him in the chin. And watch how close this thing is. That is going right at his chin. Then you're just trying to play defense and see if you can just get that baseball somewhere to hit on the bat. That one did hit him.
Yes. And so leadoff base runner for UCLA here in the 6th inning.
Started those hands, but it didn't look like they went far enough away or far enough around right there. So UCLA will take base runners any way they can get them. Rosica on hit by pitch here to start the 6th inning.
It's the 3rd straight inning that UCLA has had a base runner. 4th total base runner for the Bruins. You see Kingham's numbers so far here tonight. Hasn't walked anybody. Back to the top of the order, Brett Stevens. He has one of the 3 UCLA hits. Rosica, not a real threat to steal. 1 stolen base on the year in 3 attempts. Stevens has hit the ball hard twice. Base hit in the 1st, and then was caught stealing to end the 1st inning. And he lined out to the center fielder Gerwitz back in the 4th. Throw over to 1st again. Fred Stevens, honorable mention, all Pac-12. Former high school quarterback. In fact, his dad, Mark, was a good college football player, played at Cal. Strike. We were talking about the Chapel Hill Regional. There's a upset there earlier today. We'll talk about in a moment. This one lifted down the line in left. Coming over toward the line is Austin Todd. He'll make the catch. Rosica will go back to first. One down. Yeah, it was Florida Gulf Coast in their first national tournament pulling an upset.
Yeah, Dunk City on the baseball side. Florida Gulf Coast beats Michigan in the opener. And if things hold right now, they will face Davidson in the winner's bracket game tomorrow. 8-1 Davidson in the top of the 7th inning in Chapel Hill right now. So it potentially could be Michigan and North Carolina.
Yeah.
Loser goes home tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a 2 seed beating a 3. You would say, wow, that's not an upset. But I think because of the program's histories, it certainly is an upset.
And a team, I mean, the first almost half of the season, Florida Gulf Coast was being talked about as a potential host. I think they won 21 of their first 24 this year. So good to see Florida Gulf Coast first into the tournament.
Yeah.
And Davidson, I believe, is their first time in the tournament. So you could have the 2 first-timers each go 1-0 in Chapel Hill.
Eric Bakich has done a really good job with that Michigan program, though.
He has, absolutely.
Swung on a miss by Amaral. Amaral 0 for 2 with a pop out and a strikeout.
There's a first pitch changeup there from Kingham, right on right. I like that. He's shown you a little bit of everything today. The velocity's there. The location of the fastball's been very good. Thrown the slider kind of at will. He's really kept UCLA's hitters off balance.
UCLA down 1-0. Trying to beat Texas for the first time this year. Back up the middle. Now this could be 2. Stepped on the bag is Hamilton, and the throw to first in time for the double play. You talked about David Hamilton and his slick fielding at shortstop. He shows it there.
It's a different heartbeat for a freshman. The game doesn't speed up for him, and Hamilton right here goes all the way behind the bag, knows he has enough time. Right foot plants, throws, double play, ends the inning.
Well, David Hamilton, the freshman shortstop, is going to lead it off for Texas here in the 6th inning. You know, David Pierce raves about Hamilton's defense. We've already seen it here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the freshman shows you absolutely everything. Just the body awareness when he goes backhand side. You're going to see one at the back end of this, too, that shows you how well he thinks the game at a very young age. So steals one right here. It would have been a run. Now the pump fake spin throw to third base. And just the presence of mind to know the speed at which the game moves is, to me, one of the most impressive things that Hamilton has shown this year. The bat, still some work to do, but the glove is special.
Named to the all-freshman team in the Big 12. He has started all but 1 game at shortstop this year. Absolutely terrific. Rookie out of San Marcos, Texas. Hamilton, Mathis, Gerwitz. It has been really tough getting offense going for Texas against Griffin Canning. With that said, they do have the 1-run lead thanks to the home run from Casey Clemens.
2 hits, the solo home run and single in the last inning by Ryan Reynolds. That is it for Texas. And that's one of the reasons why. Curveball at will today for Griffin Canning. The changeup left on left has been good, except for the one that he left up to Clemens. That's the difference in this ball game right now.
The 1-2. That's down in the dirt. Junior right-hander Jake Bird has been the Bruins' #2 starter. But Savage has plans to use him out of the pen and probably start sophomore righty John Olson game 2 tomorrow.
I think it would take UCLA getting the lead, or at least tying this ball game, to see Bird in this one. If they tie it late, maybe you roll the dice, bring Bird in, and see if you can score one to potentially win. But I would be surprised if they bring him in down. And the other thing about this is Canning has been so efficient. I mean, he's at 58 pitches right now in the 6th inning. You might Might be able just to roll with Canning through the rest of this one.
Swung out and missed, struck him out. One down.
How about a 3-2 changeup? And that's his third pitch. This is why when you talk about guys that are fast-tracked to the major leagues, it's 3-pitch guys, and not too many can throw 3 pitches in any count. Canning is that guy. He's shown the ability to do it today. Did it again right there.
Back to the top, and Mathis, who's 0 for 2. Boy, he pings this one to center. Gets down in front of Amaral in center field. And Texas has 3 innings in a row with a hit as we go to the studio for an update. Pam.
Well, Clay, Adam Whitaker is having himself a night for Radford. Louisville was up 6-0 before Whitaker's grand slam, and now let's add a 2-run triple. So all the way down from 6-0 against top seed Louisville. Radford has tied it 6-6 in the 6th. Now back to Clay and Kyle.
The surprises keep on coming, KP.
Well, and Louisville threw Kay McClure in this one. They did not throw Brendan McKay. So trying to throw off, and McClure's had a good year, but McKay's potential the National Player of the Year. They were trying to save McKay for tomorrow.
There's a throw to second, and they've got him. Mathis thrown out on the bases.
I'm going to tell you something. You watch John Savage, and he is one of the best in the entire country at what you just saw. First pitch out. He's thinking maybe it's a hit and run, and I think it absolutely was a hit and run because you could see the reaction of Gerwitz. Even if it is a hit and run and they pitch out, if you're Gerwitz, you have to swing. At least there, the swing forces the catcher to wait back a little bit longer. In that spot, Rosica didn't have to wait at all. Went out, got it. It was an easy throw down to second base.
Not a bad throw for a walk-on catcher.
No, it's not, but it's also, you know, hit and run. Mathis, it's not going to be your usual stolen base break. You're going to make sure because you don't want to get picked off on a hit and run. You're just counting on Gerwitz to make some kind of contact, and he couldn't do it.
Gerwitz behind in the count here, 1-2 to Canning. Breaking ball hit high and out of play at field side. Now Gerwitz for Texas still limping around a little bit. You know, he's still not 100%. He tweaked his other hamstring, the one that was giving him the most trouble, that kept him out for several weeks. Started to heal up, and then he actually tweaked the other one during the Big 12 tournament. It's been one thing after another keeping his wheels healthy.
Yeah, and they need his wheels healthy because Gerwitz a guy, and this is what I think makes him so special for Texas. You can just hand him a glove and tell him which position to go play, and he's got to be good at it. He's played about everywhere for Texas. He's best in center field. I think makes them the best team when he's in center field. See if Canning goes back to the curveball. Elevated fastball to change eye level, then the curveball to follow. No, fastball down.
Just missed. Full count.
John Savage talked about holding velocity. That last fastball 93 miles an hour by Griffin Canning. So went fastball intentionally up and out of the zone the pitch before that. Then fastball down to the zone. 42 of 66 for a strike today.
Foul back. And don't forget, for more coverage of the national tournament, and you can find all the brackets there. They're interactive. You can go to ncaa.com. See the Long Beach Regional there. It's matched up with the Palo Alto Regional, where Stanford is the 1 seed. They just pounded Sacramento State last night. On a play. Of course, this is the last season for your old head coach, Mark Marquis, and he's had a great run over 4 decades leading the Cardinal. I know he's meant a lot to your career.
Yeah, he has. He absolutely has. I mean, he gave me a chance. There's a lot of other guys that could say the same thing. He's been 41 years anywhere. And as a player, an assistant coach, and a head coach, Mark Marquis has been at Stanford 50 years.
Struck him out.
It's an incredible run.
5th strikeout for Canning, an incredible run for Marquis, and it's been an incredible game for Canning so far. That's his 300th career strikeout, but he's behind in the game.
they can smoke.
Oh, the College World Series are our favorite time of the year back in your hometown. Kyle Peterson, great Omaha, Nebraska. Some of the tournament headlines coming into the NCAA tournament. Oregon State, the #1 national seed. First team since Texas in 1982 to come into the tournament with fewer than 5 losses. They've got 4. Coastal Carolina cannot repeat. 4th team since '99 to miss after winning the national title. And Miami not in the tournament for the first time since 1972.
Yeah, that's an amazing run. And for Miami, it was 44 straight years they have been in the postseason. That's the most by any Division I program in any sport. So think about how consistent this program has been for years. Jim Morris's club played well at the end of the year, but just not quite enough at the end. They were one of those last 4 teams out when we talked to the committee the other day.
Tell me who was president in 1972.
1972, Gerald Ford?
That's a good guess. No, it was Richard Nixon.
Richard Nixon. I was close.
Prior to Gerald Ford. That's right. I had to test you there. I know you're a history buff.
I went with the Nebraska guy and lost.
Bouchard, Cuellar, Tolia for UCLA. They've got 3 hits as a team against Nolan Kingham. Down a run. So we're in the 7th.
Hit him again.
That hit him.
Back-to-back innings. Back-to-back innings. UCLA has had the leadoff man on because Nolan Kingham hit him. This one looks like just a fastball that kind of sails on Kingham right here. Bouchard, he doesn't get hit a ton. Amaral, a guy that you expect, and Bouchard's not far behind him. Those guys have been hit a fair amount this year for UCLA. Just 3 hits on the day for the Bruins, but now another leadoff man on here in the 7th with freshman coming up right behind him.
Let's see what John Savage elects to do here with Cuellar. He's swinging away, and he puts it into right field, base hit. Stopping at second is Bouchard. 2 on, nobody out for the Bruins in their biggest threat of the game against Kingham. Don't forget Sunday on ABC, it's game 2 of the NBA Finals. The Cavs and the Warriors. The Warriors, of course, leading the series 1-0. Coverage will start at 7:30 Eastern with NBA Countdown. So Michael Tolia comes up with a couple of base runners for the Bruins as they're putting some pressure on the Horns.
Totally a guy that has not been asked to bunt too often this year. Just 1 sack bunt, but thinking maybe now is a spot that they will ask him to put down as second. First and second, nobody out. Bruins trailing by 1 as we're getting later into this ball game here in the 7th.
This is a rookie with power. 8 home runs on the year. Not showing bunt. Pitches up high. I mean, Savage loves the way this young man swings the bat. He leads the team in strikeouts, but that threat of the power is what he really brings to UCLA. Texas knows that, and Phil Haig, the pitching coach, comes out to have a chat with Kingham.
You want to know how good these guys have been today on the mound? This is the first time. We're in the top of the 7th inning. The first time that there's been multiple base runners on in any inning.
Yeah. And what is Phil Haig getting across here to Kingham?
Well, I mean, for the first time today, we've seen him scuff a little bit consistently with location. It was the fastball that hit Bouchard. It was a fastball that missed over the middle of the plate that Cuellar hit to right field, and now you go to a 1-0 count. One of the differences here at Long Beach is the bullpens are on opposite sides. So if you're in the third base dugout, your bullpen is down the right field line. I have not seen anybody up and moving around for Texas. Maybe there's now. There is now. We got action in the Texas bullpen, but they haven't had to worry about it up to this point.
And you see the numbers. Nolan Kingham in the 7th now.
He's Chase Sugared up and throwing for Texas.
Tolia. Boy, he pulled that foul.
No change up there. 1-0 change up to the freshman all the way out in front of it. Nothing wrong with doing that again.
Tolia ground out to first, fly out to right. March 10th at Disch Field. Kingham Threw 6 solid against UCLA, got the win. He's working here in the 7th. Trying to work out of the first jam he's really been in. 1-1 to Tolia. Going to spin and force Bouchard back to second base. It's really been an economy of pitches for Kingham. Just 65 so far. He threw 100 in the outing against the Bruins back in March.
So you see that combination right there. 65 pitches, haven't given up a run. There's not many times you think about getting anybody up, but that's just how tight this one is. Just a 1-run ball game into the 7th.
1-1.
Good spot.
1-2.
Two-seam fastball from Nolan Kingham, and he's been able to dial this one up for a lot today. Two-seamer that just runs over the outside part of the plate.
Got a little help from his catcher, too. That's what you call good receiving right there. Framed it up nicely.
Yeah, Michael McCann might have stole one right there, but you'll take it if you're on the mound.
The 1-2 pitch. Struck him out. That is a big out for Kingham. One down here in the 7th.
So after Phil Haig comes out and talks to Kingham right there, 1-0 changeup that gets him back into the at-bat. So gets it 1-1, and then fastball, go right back to the two-seamer, and the freshman Tolia swings through both of them right there. There's times in the ballgame where you think strikeout on the mound. That's one of them right there. Guys on first and second, nobody out, and a big pitch right there from Nolan Kingham.
That's his 5th strikeout. As Strumpf comes up, 1 for 2. He's been a strikeout victim. Also has 1 of the 4 hits for UCLA. Lifts this into foul ground. Casey Clemens gave a look, but it's about 5 rows deep. Chase Strumpf moved right into the starting lineup this year for John Savage's Bruins. He was one of the top high school hitters in Southern California the last couple of years. Another kid with a good frame, 6'1", just under 200 pounds.
You look at the size of Strumpf, the size of Kreidler, the freshman shortstop. Tolia is a really big kid. You don't see freshmen that size with the type of ability these kids have. Get to college that often. There's a lot of times that frame gets drafted at the major league level.
And this is what we're talking about with the UCLA's profile being more physical this year. This is a guy, too, that can leave the yard. Again, playing on the West Coast in a lot of ballparks that aren't home run friendly. He's got 7 long balls. 2 on, 1 out. The 1-1. Caught the outside corner. 1-2 now. This is a big inning for UCLA where runs are going to be really hard to come by. They've been hard to come by so far, and they need to take advantage of this opportunity.
Yeah, they do, because it's the first real opportunity that they've had today for UCLA. Tolia, the strikeout. Now a 1-2 count to the freshman Strumpf on another fastball on the outside part of the plate.
Oh, he got all of it, but it's well foul. Completely turned on it, timed it just right, but it'll ride along at 1-2.
It shows you the raw power. I mean, it is absolutely there for the freshman Strumpf. Just a tick earlier, this one's 3-1 Bruins. Instead, still behind in the count 1-2, and see if he gets the slider from Kingham following that swing.
And the winner of this game will play the winner tomorrow of our second game between San Diego State and the 1 seed Long Beach. Time call. Great crowd on hand here tonight at Blair Field. Weather's absolutely perfect.
Yeah, wait till tonight. Dirtbags show up, this place will be jammed.
Nolan Kingham comes set. Again popped up, foul ground. Clemens may have a play on this one. Warning track, and he got it. Advancing to third on the play is Bouchard. Runners at the corners for UCLA. But importantly for Texas, 2 outs now, as that was a great defensive play by the first baseman who made it look easy.
Yeah, he did, and this is a ballpark that he's never been at. You can tell at this point Casey Clemens is thinking that he's getting close to the fence, because right here he's not quite sure. When you see those jab steps, sometimes the best throws that are made during the course of the game are the ones that aren't made, and that was one right there from Casey Clemens. You don't see guys tag up on a fly ball to first baseman very often, but that's exactly what happened right there with Bouchard. For Clemens, I don't think he can throw him out in that spot, and the only thing potentially can happen is the ball goes down the left field line. It's a 1-1 ball game. The senior held onto it right there because you know you're one pitch away. You get the guy at the dish, Texas still leads at 1-0.
That was not an easy play.
No.
He started in the sunshine, went through some shadow, came back into the sunshine, looking right up into it, and that glare there made the catch. Jack Stronach is going to hit here for UCLA. This is Hirabayashi's spot in the order. Jack, another freshman for the Bruins. Left-handed hitter. Called on in a pinch hitting role here with 2 on 2 out in the 7th. A .221 hitter, a homer, and 16 driven in. Ground ball should end the inning for Texas. Hamilton the flip, Boswell covering, and Kingham hits the leadoff man, gives up a hit right after that, but UCLA comes up empty. Well, ESPN has every game on the road to Omaha. We've got your regional coverage on E2, ESPNU, the SEC Network, ESPN3, plus whip-around coverage available through ESPN3 and the Bases Loaded channel.
Check them out. Check out Runes and Schick. Still fired away.
Travis Jones leads it off here for Texas. I've got a new nickname for Mike Rooney, the Professor. I think it fits him. He's an intellectual,
studious,
very smart guy.
He started to call Schick Matty Ice, but I'm not sure if he asked him if it was okay.
Well, I never asked Mike if the Professor was okay. I'm just going with it.
Okay, you can go with both.
Well, UCLA had its best opportunity to get runs on the board against Nolan Kingham last half. KP had the first 2 guys on, but Kingham got out of the jam.
Yeah, you know what? When you look back on that, the trip to the mound by Phil Haig really settled him down. Threw a changeup with the next pitch to kind of slow the pace down a little bit, and then Kingham took over from there.
Jack Stronach, who was a pinch hitter last half inning and grounded out, is staying in the ballgame at third for the Bruins.
You now defensively for UCLA have a freshman at third, a freshman at short, and a freshman at second on the infield. And offensively in their lineup, they have 5 in a row. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 currently in the UCLA lineup, all freshmen.
Boy, that's hit well, but right at Kreidler and then off his glove.
Yeah, that one just knuckled on Kreidler at the last minute, and he dropped it. Hit right on the button, and it's that knuckleball line drive that so often you'll see infielders struggle with because the ball's just kind of dancing when it gets to them.
Well, now they've got a deal to Casey Clemens with a man on. His last time up, he did this, a solo home run to right field, his 12th of the year.
That's the difference in this ball game. That was the first hit of the game for Texas at that point. Solo home run by Clemens. That has stood up, and we were talking about it off air. 1 seemed like a big number today from a run standpoint. I mean, it's been a race to 1 at that point, and that swing might be enough for Texas.
Now let's see if the Horns can make the Bruins pay for the first error of the contest. It was against Kreidler. Again, you look back on that replay and how that ball was knuckling. That was a tough play.
Absolutely it was.
But it is an error on the shortstop. Clemens 1 for 2, a strikeout and the homer. Nothing in 2.
Go, Casey. Go rack now. Put it in play. Roll first. Moving over.
We have seen an upset of pretty big proportions. A 1 seed going down. And we're going to have an update for you in just a second with Pam in the studio.
1 seed has already gone down, and another one potentially going down in North Carolina.
The ball and a strike to Casey Clemens. Texas trying to add to their 1-0 lead. There's a backdoor breaking ball. 1-2. Griffin Canning has been outstanding on the mound for UCLA. His team is behind. Just the 3 hits allowed. With his dad looking on, Casey Clemens, the 1-2 fouled straight back. Yeah, it's got to be tough walking around the last name Clemens, playing at Texas, but somehow Casey and his brother Cody, they handle it very well.
They absolutely do. Yeah, I mean, it's a massive sense of pride just to put the uniform on, given the family history at that place. But you also know it can't be the easiest thing in the world, and Casey has turned into the absolute leader of this ball club, especially offensively, and clearly has been that today with the solo home run.
Oldest son Kobe is playing minor league baseball. Corey, the second son, he's not in baseball. A very athletic family. That stays off the plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Clemens was at Texas. Roger, I should say, in 1982 and 83. Went 25-7 in his 2 seasons on the mound as a Longhorn.
Go, Casey.
78 pitches now for Canning as he throws over. That 1983 College World Series was just a terrific one. Dave Magadan was playing for Alabama. Barry Bonds was a freshman at Arizona State. Chris Sabo, Barry Larkin were at Michigan. But it was Texas that prevailed. Led by Roger Clemens. Runner goes, swung on and missed. And then stopping halfway to second is Jones, put on the brakes, goes back to first. 1 down here in the Texas 7th. And let's get an update on an upset with Pam.
That's right, Clay. Number 1 seed Florida State at home. Ryan Flick in the 9th inning with a 2-run double just past the first base bag. The Golden Eagles had tied it in the 8th. They go ahead and win it in the 9th. So Florida State, who's never won a World Series, loses their first game of this tournament.
Yeah, Mike Martin just hasn't had a lot of luck when it comes to the national tournament. I mean, he's throw over there a little close at first, but Martin's been able to get Florida State to the College World Series plenty of times. He's just never won the big prize.
No, and Florida State was probably the last of the 16 seeds. I mean, you go back 2 weeks ago, there was questions about whether or not Florida State would get into the tournament. They beat Louisville 3 times, ended up blowing through the ACC tournament and won that. Worked themselves into a 1 seed, and Tennessee Tech beats them today in the opener.
Pitch out.
And if Tennessee Tech was going to win that game, that wasn't really the way you thought they would. Tennessee Tech led the country in home runs this year. 97 home runs for Tennessee Tech. Wake Forest hit 96. They didn't hit any today, but 1 in the 8th, 2 in the 9th, enough for Tennessee Tech to pull the upset.
Now, you're right about the Seminoles getting hot late. You know, they've had a knack for doing that. They seem to play well late in the year and in the conference tournament. Again, the pitch out. Runner goes this time. Bad throw, and it skips into center field. It hit the base runner, and Jones is at third base. That throw was wide from Rosica. It hit the base runner, Jones, and then he takes the extra base. He's at third now with 1 out.
Yeah, Jones the best base stealer on this Texas ball club. 13 stolen bases before this one right now. So there's 14 on the year, and it was a throw from Rosica that really tailed arm side. And if that throw's on the bag, Jones is out. And just add a little insult to, or injury to injury right there. Gets hit twice. Gets hit trying to steal second. Ball pops away, and he gets dotted in the leg. That one doesn't get far enough away.
Another error on UCLA.
Well, he reached on an error, and then an error gets him to third base.
Yeah, they put an error on Rosica. And Texas with a great opportunity to get another run on the board.
And you look at the way that so getting Jones to third base changes the course of this ball game. Now UCLA forced to bring the infield in. So if he's standing at second base, the infield's back. There's a much better chance that on a ground ball, UCLA is going to make a play. But John Savage late in the ball game down a run. You get a runner to third base and just one out. Now forced to bring that infield in. Austin Todd with a much better chance to hit a ground ball through the infield right now.
Austin Todd, 19 runs batted in on the year. Looking to get a big one here. 0 for 2, a ground out and a line out. The 2-1 from Canning.
Good swing.
Austin Todd from Round Rock, Texas. I know you like this kid. He played particularly well in the TCU series.
Had 7 hits in the series and was kind of a surprise addition to leadoff spot game 1 against TCU. So he went out and got 5 hits. That will keep you in the lineup most times.
Travis Jones at third. Todd at the plate. Just 1 out here in the 7th. Texas leading 1-0 in the opener of this regional. Infield in. Time called at home. Texas a very dangerous 2 seed. We knew that coming into this regional. 37-22. Ran all the way to the Big 12 tournament championship game, trying to keep the momentum going here. First night of the national tournament. 2-2. Popped up. Canning pointing it out to the infielders. It'll be Kreidler. What a gift that was. 2 down.
Good execution by Canning to get back into this at bat. And then elevate the fastball up and out of the zone. So you elevate with a purpose, which is exactly what Canning does right here. I don't know if it was intentional, though. You saw the glove earlier from Rosica trying to set up what looked to be down in the zone, but fastball up ended up being the one that really worked. Todd can't get it out of the infield, and Griffin Canning 1 pitch away from keeping this a 1-0 ball game.
Boswell is hitless. Fly out and the ground out. Canning trying to get through the 7th, keeping this a 1-run game. UCLA down to its last 6 outs offensively. It is important that they keep it 1-0. Check their swing, foul ball.
That'll tell you something about the stuff for Canning late in this ball game. 1-0 fastball in a fastball count, and a guy like Boswell takes a swing like that. So clearly not seeing the ball great when it comes out of Canning's hand.
He certainly saw it well the last time these 2 teams met up in March. He went 5 for 11 with a homer and 3 runs batted in. And that series sweep of the Bruins back in Austin. But he's 0 for 2 tonight. The 1-1 pitch. That one's hit well toward the gap. Base hit, run scores, 2-0 Texas. 26th run batted in. And it's a big, big run, unearned. Thanks to those 2 errors this inning, but important nonetheless.
2-out RBI right here for Boswell, and a fastball that just kind of stays up in the zone. You can see the glove. They're trying to go away. That one sneaks over the middle of the plate, and the reaction by Canning tells you everything you need to know right there. The junior Boswell rips it to left center field. 2-out single scores Jones from third base and doubles the Longhorn lead here in the 7th.
And now Reynolds. You and I were talking between innings after the home run by Clemens. That 1 run felt big. Well, now 2 runs on the board for Texas.
2 feels really big right now.
Late in this ball game.
And Texas the home team in this one.
Throw to first. Back is Boswell.
They'll pitch out the first pitch, and even though I wouldn't totally put it past John Savage, you would expect that they don't pitch out right here. Wouldn't be shocked to see Boswell off and running here.
Strikeout and a single for Reynolds tonight. Oswald doesn't go. Pitches low. Again, the winner will play either Long Beach State, the 1 seed, or the 4 seed San Diego State tomorrow night. It'll be a 10 Eastern time start, 7 Pacific, as Rosica comes out, and here comes John Savage too. First trip to the mound for Savage tonight. The UCLA team ERA 3.49, 19th best in the country, something that has always been effective under his watch, pitching. And he has gotten a great start from Griffin Canning tonight.
He's turned out some dudes now. Bauer, Cole. I don't know if he's making a change or just calling the infield in this spot.
Hooper and Bird, lefty and a righty warming up. Caprillion, Watson.
Yes.
David Berg, the great reliever, just a couple of years back.
It was a few years back. David Berg had over 50 appearances over the course of the year for UCLA. I mean, it seemed like, and it almost was, every game David Berg figured into it.
He's had some great staffs. Some of the great staffs in college baseball over the last, I don't know, 20, 30 years. Pitched at UCLA.
And the year that they won the national title, they did it because of their arms. It was an offense that wouldn't wow you, but the pitching staff took the Bruins all the way to their first national championship.
So they stay with Canning. 2 balls and no strikes to Reynolds.
Change up. We've seen that both times. The coaches have come out to the mound. When Phil Hegg did it for Texas, next pitch was a changeup, changed the course of the at-bat. That time John Savage comes out, slows the pace down. Canning with a 2-0 changeup that Reynolds swung right over the top of.
That one gets away from first. Bouchard has to chase. Standing at second now is Boswell. That is an MO of UCLA pitching. They throw to first a lot, and they are very good at it. This one gets away from Canning.
That's the 3rd Bruin error, and all 3 have come in this inning. It was an error by the shortstop on a line drive to start the inning. Then a throwing error by the catcher Rosica. Now a throwing error by Griffin Canning right there. UCLA known for clean defense. Field 981 as a club coming in. Those errors have cost them in this inning.
You see that second fewest in the Pac-12 in regards to errors, but 3 this inning. 2-1 to Reynolds, and now Boswell in scoring position. 3-1. McCann on deck. Texas said it, you know, the players said it, the coaching staff said it, the best right-hander they've seen this season, Griffin Canning, but so far they've found a way to score against him.
Yeah, they've done enough. I mean, it was UCLA that really helped him in this inning.
Canning comes set. 3-1 pitch. Lifted. Shielding his eyes is Stronach. Foul ground, and Justin makes the catch. So UCLA gets out of the inning, but not before a big insurance run scores for Texas. We go to the 8th, 2-0 Horns.
The Detroit
Warriors, 8 Eastern, ABC. Well, the 3 errors for UCLA last inning hurt them. Texas gets another run on the board. It's now 2-0 going to the 8th. Nolan Kingham dueling Griffin Canning here tonight. Both have pitched well, but Kingham has the upper hand right now.
How about efficiency now? I mean, 73 pitches in 7 innings, 92 and 7 in bat at all for Canning, and had to throw significantly more last inning because of the errors. But Kingham has been spot on in this one.
Boy, that's crunched to left. Go, boy, into the pine trees. Ryan Kreidler with a leadoff homer here in the 8th. And just like that, it's back to a 1-run game.
All right, now I'm not making a direct comparison, so don't go crazy here. And he's not quite as big as Gloss was, but there was a 6'5" shortstop years ago for UCLA named Troy Gloss that did this a lot. Freshman with his 4th home run of the year, and this is where the ball flies today. Win, no win, I don't care. This ball was carried out when it came off the bat of Kreidler right here. First pitch of the inning is a first pitch fastball, and with one swing, UCLA has turned it back into a 1-run ball game.
And now Rosica's up there trying to bunt his way on. Strike call. Wow, that was punched. Rosica's 0 for 1, hit by a pitch as well. That was his last time up. And then Amaral hit into a double play. Big home run. UCLA absolutely had to show that they could do something against Kingham. That should change the energy in that Bruins dugout.
They needed something after getting the first 2 on in the 7th inning and not pushing any runs across.
Plus, after what happened in the field defensively, you know, they showed that they were melting down a little bit. They needed an infusion of positivity. 1-2 to Rosica. UCLA's first run coming here in the top of the 8th. Kreidler was drafted out of high school, turned down Pro Bowl and Stanford to come to UCLA. The Bruins certainly glad he did. That was out of play. And Kreidler was the 3rd baseman until Nick Valleca, the shortstop at the time, got hurt in late March. Kreidler moved to short. He's been really good there. 1-2. And Rosica thought about it, holds the bat back. 2-2. It's important now that they make Kingham work a little bit.
Starting to push that pitch count up a little bit. This next pitch, the 80th of ball game.
Ground ball down the line. Gobbled up by Reynolds at 3rd. Good throw. 1 out. Back to the top of the order. Stevens to hit now. As we remind you that we've got all the pitches, all the action, the wins and losses from the national tournament. It's going to continue through Monday, streaming live on the ESPN app. Bases loaded, a big success with Matt and Mike. We get a lot of eyeballs on that. How about LSU today? Speaking of errors, we saw the 3 last half inning for UCLA. It cost them a run. LSU, it nearly cost them the game today.
Yeah, you don't see 5 errors by LSU, who defensively is one of the top defensive teams in the entire country. So if you go into this one and you tell Paul Maneri, Jared Poche's not going to make it out of the 5th, you're going to make 5 errors, and you're going to win by 8 runs.
He'll tell you.
Not exactly the way that you thought it would happen for LSU, but a 15 spot helps. They get 3 home runs, and all 3 came out of the 8 and 9 slot in the order.
I think the folks in Baton Rouge were a little nervous after they started kicking it around and got behind.
Yeah.
That's 11,000 nervous folks. They have a Cajun accent. Some of the best baseball fans in the world call that town home. Boy, this is pulled down the line, has a chance. Stevens, foul ball. Brett Stevens nearly tied this ball game up.
Well, Stevens not necessarily known for his power, just 2 home runs on the year. And we talked about the ball flying to left and the ball flying to right. It flies significantly better to left field, but Stevens just a tick out in front of this one. And it goes as a long strike.
Stevens has hit some balls well today. Has 1 hit, 3 plate appearances. And fouled off. Now Kingham has shown some vulnerability here. It's late for UCLA, but not too late.
Oh, not when one swing can tie it up.
Popped up.
Good pitch.
Foul ground. Reynolds makes the catch.
Good pitch. Fastball in on the hands of Stevens right there, and that one tied him up. It's Nolan Kingham pushing over that Eddie pitch mark, and it wasn't exactly where he was trying to throw it. You could see the glove of McCann. They were setting up and away. Instead, it goes up and in, and that was the right spot. That one really tied Stevens up. He couldn't do anything with it. So after the leadoff home run, 2 straight outs for Kingham.
And now Amaral. 0 for 3, hit into a double play as last time. Appeal to the first base umpire. Robert Holloway didn't go. It's so important to get game 1 under your belt as a victory. Now it's 4 double elimination rounds in the NCAA tournament. It's possible to lose as many as 4 times and still win a title. This is going to be extra bases. Amaral around first, and he'll lope into second with a 2-out double.
Now you got a decision to make if you're Texas, because even though Kingham has been rolling, leadoff home run makes it a 2-1 ball game, 2 outs and a good swing by Daniel Amaral. The sophomore hooks it down the left field line, fair by a good amount, and into that left field corner. And now the best hitter for UCLA, and he really has been the undisputed best hitter for UCLA the entire year, is Sean Bouchard, and he steps up right here.
Bouchard has been on base twice.
I would be surprised if Texas doesn't go to that bullpen right here. I think the toughest decisions for head coaches to make are the pitching changes before everything starts to unravel, trying to get out in front of it. And the swings from UCLA have been a little bit different in this inning than we've seen over the course of the ball game. Let's Chase Sugar, number 24, still up for the horns, and Bo Ridgway, the closer, has joined him in the bullpen.
Bo Ridgway got the win against UCLA the last time Kingham faced the Bruins. It's a possibility we see Ridgway here. As the boss comes out, David Pierce. What an outing for Kingham here tonight so far. You can see Pierce look at him square in the eye, trying to gauge his reaction.
I'm going to tell you right now, Nolan Kingham and most guys that you want out there at a big spot are not going to look back in this situation and say, I'm out of stuff. He wants to stay in this ball game, but we'll see if David Pierce gives him the chance. I would think he goes to the bullpen here.
Yep. The call has been made. That's going to do it for Nolan Kingham. What an outing. 7 2/3. 5 strikeouts. He's in line for the win. If the bullpen can do its job, it will be Bo Ridgway for the Horns when we come back.
The NCAA.
The NCAA Baseball Regionals in Long Beach, presented by Capital One. Late in the ballgame, it's gotten really interesting between UCLA and Texas. Nolan Kingham leaving after 7 2/3 of great starting pitching. But now he gives way to Bo Ridgway, the sophomore closer for Texas. He has 11 saves on the year, trying to close this one out for the Horns.
Ridgway's been really good at the back end of the bullpen for Texas this year. 11 saves for Bo Ridgway. And he seems to be on in almost every game that matters for Texas. This the 35th appearance for the right-hander this year.
It's 9th most in the country. Sean Bouchard on twice here tonight. That's up and out. The ball and a strike. Ridgway with the 11 saves. That's The first time a Longhorn has been to double digits in that category since Corey Knebel had 19 in 2011.
And the numbers for Ridgway, doesn't give up a lot of hits, just 30 hits and 47 and change this year for the Longhorns. This stuff is not incredibly overpowering. He's not a mid-90s guy, but just misses a lot of bats.
Like that. 1-2.
Good late life on the fastball right there.
Kreidler led off the top of the 8th with a solo home run for UCLA. First run for the Bruins tonight. Amaral a double this inning. He's in scoring position now with 2 outs. Struck him out. Ridgway comes out of the Texas pen and slams the door on UCLA, and Texas maintains the lead.
David Pierce goes to his closer, looking for a 4-out save, and Ridgway pitches out of a jam right here. Tying run on second base, facing the best hitter for UCLA. Throws a fastball right by Bouchard to keep it 2-1 Longhorns.
Let's take a look at tonight's Capital One Cup Impact Performance. Kyle Peterson.
First hit of the ball game for the Longhorns, and you can't hit it further than this. 2-0 changeup to Casey Clemens. Gave Texas the lead at that point. They would add an unearned run later on in this ball game in the 7th inning. That unearned run the difference at this point, but the swing by Clemens got the Horns on the board.
And it has been hard to generate offense against Griffin Canning, the starter for UCLA, working here into the 8th inning. Just 4 hits allowed by Canning, but 2 runs on the board, and this one is smoked into center by McCann, but it's caught by Amaral. UCLA tonight, KP, their issue, and they haven't had a lot of base runners that got into scoring position, but they have had some opportunities. 5 left on, a couple in scoring position. 1 for 12 tonight with runners on.
The inning, if UCLA loses this ball game, the inning is going to come back to haunt them as the 7th. Leadoff man on, then a single by Cuellar. So 2 on, nobody out. Strikeout, fly ball, ground ball, and Nolan Kingham pitched around a jam in the 7th. And I think this shows you too, if you're going to give up home runs, generally the solo shot isn't going to end up beating you. And the one swing by UCLA was solo home run, but Texas still with the lead.
David Hamilton has played well in the field tonight for Texas. 0 for 2 at the plate with the strikeout. Hamilton, the number 9 man in the order, then back to the top in Mathis. Texas would love to get an insurance run or 2 before UCLA hits in the 9th. It's 4, 5, and 6 due up for the Bruins. Checked his swing. Did not go on the appeal. We knew this would be good. We looked ahead when the regional pairings came out, and we said, wow, UCLA, Texas in the first round, that's going to be outstanding.
I would tell you, I think what we've seen here, and maybe not as dominant as both of these arms have been, but this is what I think this regional will be.
Canning, low throw, but hanging in there is Bouchard to make sure that's it out. 2 down here in the 8th.
Low scoring, runs at a premium. We've seen it in this one, and I do think you'll see it tonight. San Diego State has some power, but when the lights come on at Blair Field, the ball starts traveling a little bit different. Long Beach State knows that. It is one of the most complete pitching staffs in the country. Long Beach throws a ton of strikes, comfortable at home, and that'll be the last opening round game. Well, at least scheduled the last opening round game to start today. I don't know that they've played any. Few spots out east today, but
yeah, the weather pain in the neck, you know, it's just, last year was really bad. It hasn't been quite as bad as last year on day 1, but
that's why we went west, young man.
Yeah, you made a good call on this one. Here's Long Beach getting ready. They're going to throw Dave Smith tonight, senior right-hander who's 8-1 on the year, will go for the Dirtbags. Seaberger, a lefty for San Diego State, also a senior, so they're going with veteran arms, and they've both had great years. That'll be a good game 2 here from Long Beach. Love seeing Dirtbags.
You see it a lot.
0-2 to Mathis, who has a hit in 3 trips. Now 1-2. Again, for UCLA, they're down to their last 3 outs. Cuellar, Tolia, and Strumpf. They've got a couple of hits in 9 at-bats from those 3 spots tonight. Down the line. That is foul. Bouchard, a diving stop. That's a foul ball. Texas trying to go 4-0 against UCLA here in 2017. The sweep in March. And Texas, in that sweep, scored 20 runs on 30 hits. It was about the offense. So far in this meeting, it's been about the pitching. Yeah, there's been a long ball that's the difference in the game for Texas. Pitching has really been the dominating storyline. Now 2-2.
This you can file under, if it ends up 2-1, the category of rough luck start for Kingham, because most nights what he has done tonight would be plenty, giving up just 4 hits. At least at this point, the difference, 3 errors by UCLA in the 7th inning led to an unearned run for Texas. That led to their 2nd run, which was enough to give them the cushion they need at this point.
There's 1 walk allowed so far for John Savage's starter. And make it 2. As Patrick Mathis earns a 2-out walk here in the 8th inning. The numbers for Griffin Canning tonight.
104 pitches for the junior, who will hear his name called early in this year's Major League Draft. 7 2/3. Just 4 hits allowed. That last pitch, his 2nd walk of the ball game, struck out 6. Has controlled 3 pitches, the fastball, the curveball, and the changeup all night. In fact, that time I think he went 3-2 change to Mathis and missed. See if UCLA pitches out first pitch again.
They throw over. We talked about the velocity for Canning, that it doesn't dip as the game wears on. Have we seen that? Have you noticed that? That it stayed about where it started?
I think he's carried it the whole time. The thing that's interesting with Canning is he's not that big. I mean, you know, a lot of times you see that with guys that have big lower halves, and they're able to carry velocity later on to the ball game.
Good movement there.
Yeah, he's been able to carry that one. That curveball plays. You know what it reminds me of a little bit? Years ago, Ben Sheets, who was a 1st-round pick, pitched in the big leagues for a long time with Milwaukee, won a gold level. Sheets had a curveball that was similar to this, that was hard top to bottom, could throw it on both sides of the plate for a strike.
Nothing at 2. You know, another thing that's been beneficial, even though UCLA may not win this game, Canning going deep, helping out that bullpen, because if they do go into the losers bracket, they're going to need a lot of arms to come through the losers bracket. And the bullpen, you know, at times it's been a question mark. So if you can keep them out of the equation for a game, it could go a long way to helping you come back through that bracket.
Yeah, it definitely could. And the one thing, too, we saw Bird up and throwing, but he hasn't come into this ball game. So potentially, if you wanted to start Bird tomorrow for UCLA, win or lose right here, at least as of now, you'd still have the opportunity to do that. John Savage had him heat up, but obviously Bird hasn't come into this ball game.
Ground ball. That could get through, and it does. Past Strumpf into right. So the inning continues for Texas. 2 on, 2 out. And the 3-hole hitter, Travis Jones, will get a chance. Jones reached on an error his last time up and came around to score when the defense let UCLA down in the 7th. Just the 5th hit for Texas. You see Jones's night. Hit well to right field. That's going to get down. Tolia cuts it off in the corner. Mathis scores. And it's 3-1 Texas. Travis Jones delivering a much appreciated insurance run for the Longhorns.
First pitch fastball on the outside part of the plate, and the 3-hole hitter Jones shoots it down the right field line. It was 2 outs, nobody on for Texas in this inning. 2-out walk to Mathis and a single by Gerwitz, and now the single by Jones plates another run. It should have been 2 runs, because when the throw came all the way back in, you see Sean Allen started waving his right arm right at the last minute. Tolia overthrew everybody, threw that ball to second base, and if Gerwitz wouldn't have pulled the shoot around third base, Gerwitz would have scored easily on that play.
I'm sure John Savage considered coming out to get Canning before Jones drove in that run. He stuck with him. He comes out now as the lead has gone to 2 runs for Texas. Let's go back to that throw from Tolia. Texas maybe missed an opportunity to make it 4-1.
And you can see when that ball gets into the infield, I mean, nobody would have been able to get that ball in time if Gerwitz. And you're thinking, I mean, most of the time that play is going to hit some cutoff man somewhere. We'll see if that ends up meaning anything for Texas.
Pitching change for the Bruins. Scheidler coming out, another freshman for UCLA. Great outing for Canning, but he's in line for the loss. Well, we can't close the book on Canning because the base runners are his, but these are the numbers up to now. 7 2/3, 2 earned runs, 6 hits, struck out 6, walked a couple, but he could lose for the 2nd time this season against Texas despite 2 quality outings, KP.
Yeah, that's kind of rough pitching luck right there. Both times, mind you, was to Kingham. Kingham has been on the other side. He was on the other side the first time that these 2 teams played on Friday night in Austin. Kingham obviously on the other side tonight. So Canning gives way after a very good night to another freshman, Nick Scheidler, the lefty, comes on. He's been active this year for LSU. 36th time that Scheidler has been at a ball game. That leads all of UCLA's relievers in appearances. And I would think with a right-hander on deck, this is a left-on-left matchup in to face one guy.
Now we have documented what Clemens has done tonight. Most notably the solo home run, which gave Texas the lead. At the time it was 1-0. That came in the bottom of the 4th. He has struck out a couple other times against Canning. Looking to do more damage here with 2 on and 2 out in the 8th. Ball and a strike. Scheidler's first career appearance as a starter came at Texas on the 11th of March. Threw 2 2/3 in that game. Used as a reliever late here, trying to keep Texas at 3. Ground ball foul outside of first. Bo Ridgway came out of the pen for Texas last inning. He's the closer for the Horns. Now has a little more breathing room to work with in the UCLA 9th. Ridgway sets, or Scheidler, I should say, sets. The 1-2 swung out and missed. So UCLA down to its last 3 outs. Trails by 2 as we go to the 9th here in Long Beach. Do the Bruins have a comeback in their belly? We'll find out. Cuellar, Tolia, Strumpf when we come back. It's been a fun night so far here in Long Beach. Texas leading 3-1. UCLA down to its last chance. Cuellar, Tolia, Strumpf, 4, 5, and 6 for UCLA. I guess it's right where they want to be, Kyle Peterson, but it's been a tough night offensively against the starter Nolan Kingham. And then Bo Ridgway, he struck out Bouchard to end the 8th.
You're looking at the future of UCLA baseball in this inning. Freshman for UCLA against a veteran closer in Bo Ridgway.
Cuellar tonight 1 for 3, a single that came in the 7th. Tolia on deck. Ridgway trying to nail down his 12th save of the year. Caught the inside corner, 1 down. Back-to-back strikeouts out of the pen for Ridgway.
How about Bo Ridgway use the fastball? So it was an elevated fastball to strike out Bouchard and get Texas out of a jam in the last inning this time, and he did this twice in this at bat. That two-seam fastball on the inside part of the plate that a lot of lefties will give up on. But Ridgway started it off the plate and brought it back over the inside corner. 2 straight strikeouts. Both guys that Ridgway has faced in this ballgame, he struck out.
Swinging at the first pitch is Tolia. Tolia 0 for 3 with a strikeout. The loser will have a quick turnaround. A 1 o'clock local start time tomorrow, 4 Eastern, in what will be an elimination game for the loser. That's outside. Texas number 2 starter Morgan Cooper, junior right-hander, 6-3 on the year, expected to go tomorrow. This one hit well toward the gap in right center. This could run all the way to the wall. It does. Tolia at second base, and the tying run will come up with 1 out here in the 9th.
And you start projecting this kid 2 more years out when he's draft eligible. Tolia just a freshman. Kid from the Pacific Northwest that originally had committed to Washington State. Coaching change there, opens his recruiting back up. UCLA gets him, and he's got a chance to play this game for a long time. Big kid with real power. 8 home runs on the year, and when UCLA needs one right here with 1 out, Tolia hammers a ball to right center field. He's now standing on second base with 1 out.
Strumpf, with his 7 homers on the year, digs in. He could tie this one up with 1 swing. He jumps on the first pitch. He was hunting fastball on a piece.
But look at fastball location for the most part since Ridgway has come in. First pitch fastball right there, knee high in the outside black. So even looking fastball in that spot, Strumpf still not able to put that ball into play.
Took something off, breaking pitch. Didn't have much break to it. 1-1. Tolia at second. 1 out. Way outside, 2-1. A lot of Bruins fans in attendance for this first game of the Long Beach Regional. Trying to root on a comeback. Ridgway comes set, the 2-1. Now 3-1. Stronach on deck for UCLA. Bullpen is working for Texas. Walked him. And now the tying run is at first base. Well, after the Women's College World Series on ESPN, it's Sports Center at night. Kearney and Connors will have the entire day's news. Look ahead to Sunday's NBA Finals Game 2. It's all streaming live on the ESPN app as well. First and second. A pinch runner now for UCLA. There's Curtis Gooden.
Curtis Gooden, a kid that showed up at UCLA as a track star. Won the city 100-meter dash in high school. Came to UCLA on a track scholarship. Has now come over to UCLA, and there's a reason why he's pinch running at first base. He's the fastest guy on the field.
Anything to the gap would tie this one up then. Stronach go for one. Flip foul. Stronach came in as a pinch hitter for Hirabayashi in the 7th and wrapped into a fielder's choice. Stayed in at third base. Has a chance here to do something special for UCLA, down 2 in the 9th. Winner trying to get into that game tomorrow. Ground ball back up through, base hit. Coming around third, trying to score Tolia. He will. And stopping at second base is Gooden. It's 3-2. Stronach delivers here in the 9th.
Here come the freshmen. Tolia with a one-out ball in the gap. Then a walk. And now Stronach, who did not start this ball game, came on as a pinch hitter in the 7th inning. Single up the middle, plates a run, and makes it a one-run ball game right now. David Pierce will make a slow walk out to the mound right here to talk to his closer, and UCLA might have got away with one right there, because if Gerwitz, and you're thinking at that point that Gooden's probably going to third base, which is why the throw went over the top of the cutoff man head. If he hits the cutoff man, Gooden's out at second base, because he was hung up about halfway between second and third.
Well, Ridgway has been very effective at the back end of the Texas bullpen this year. The sophomore has been in a lot of big games. David Pierce has a lot of confidence in him, but they're having a long discussion now.
Yeah, and I mean, this is Ridgway's ball game. But now you're going to face a guy who earlier hit the home run for UCLA in what was their first run of the ball game. This in the 8th inning, it led off, and it was a first pitch fastball. Nolan Kingham in the game at that point. And the freshman Kreidler leaned on one to left field, hit it over the old fence. Nobody used to do that. Into the pine trees in left field. At the time, it made it a 2-1 ball game. He does that again. UCLA will have their first lead of the day.
Kreidler. Ground out in the 3rd, fly out in the 5th. The homer in the 8th. Caught the outside corner. How does Ridgway attack Kreidler here?
Well, for the most part, Ridgway's been fastball heavy, and the mistakes have gotten hit. We've seen it in this inning. Elevated fastball to Tolia in the gap, and last time up, another fastball that was hit into center field. The slider he hasn't been able to control much yet.
The 0-1 lifted into right. The runners can't advance. 2 down. And now UCLA down to its last out. And John Savage going to call on a pinch hitter.
Yeah, it looks like. I think Jake Priest looks to be the pinch hitter here for UCLA. It's Rosica's spot in the order. He's 0 for 2 on the day. Flew out to left field. Grounded out to third base. Jake Priest, the sophomore, has grabbed a bat, and it looks like he'll hit.
Just 56 at bats on the year. San Juan Capistrano, 6'4", 215-pounder.
He does have 2 home runs on the year. Limited at bats, but decent power.
Try to tie into one here against Bo Ridgway. First and second, 2 out. 3-2 Texas. Swings at the first pitch, lifted into the air on the infield. Boswell calling for it, and Texas holds on to win in the regional opener. 3-2 the final as they knock down the Bruins for the 4th time in 2017.
Pretty good way to start this one now for UCLA. They'll look back on those 3 errors as something that changed the course of this ball game. It led to an unearned run, and ultimately for Texas, the pitching of Kingham and a few big hits enough to give the Longhorns a win here on a great opener in Long Beach.
Really good pitching in this game.
Yep.
It's Texas that prevails. They're on to tomorrow night's winners round game. They'll either face Long Beach State or San Diego State, the 1-4 matchup coming up 11 Eastern here on ESPN2. So Texas with the win, 3-2 in the regional opener from Long Beach. Coming up next, it's Sports Center. We'll see you for San Diego State, Long Beach at 11 Eastern. For KP, I'm Clay. We'll see you in a bit.